What is up, everybody? Equine Edge family, welcome back to another Thursday night show with me and my co-host Mike Somich and Good Chalk, Bad Chalk. How you doing tonight, Mike?
Doing good, man. I'm excited. We finally got 5 races. We're not stuck with these 4 races. They're going off every now and then. We get a full 5-race show. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm having a little Breeders' Cup hangover. Got a little cough, so I apologize if anybody, if I'm sounding a little, down in the dumps right now. But I gave all my energy to handicapping the Breeders' Cup, going there, experiencing it in person. We got to watch a lot of races together, do a little handicapping. Breeders' Cup was awesome this year. What are your thoughts on the Breeders' Cup, Mike?
I was great. I had a blast there. A lot of really great performances on Saturday, especially. Got to see some champions go down. Got to see some champions really cement their place in history. So it was exciting to see all of those awesome performances. And I was against Golden Pal, but man, that was breathtaking. Those first 3 steps. I mean, he was just gone right away, and it was just incredible to see some of those efforts come forward on such a big day.
It is. And, a lot of people would argue that maybe his figures were quote unquote a little light, but he came back in a big way. We got Richard with us tonight. We got John. We got Dennis. Guys, we're going to cover 5 live races tonight. So we're going to hop right into Remington. We're going to get you 3 races at Remington, 2 at Charleston, and get right into this. And so we'll talk about Breeders' Cup as we go. We're going to do a little recap on some of the good chalks that really balled out and some of the bad chalks that really didn't show up. And then also some thoughts on how me and Mike played the BCBC over the last weekend, and maybe some things that we really liked about what we did and some things that we will work on next time and do a little bit better. So it looks like we've got a 6-5 favorite here in the 4, which if you look at it is the EE morning line on this horse. And so that EE morning line is just so dead on accurate more often than not.
Yeah, this was one of those races where the show Good Chalk, Bad Chalk. I love trying to find bad chalk. This horse kind of deserves to be 6-5. I went through it and kind of was like, okay, how can we beat this horse? I didn't see a ton of ways to do it. The one argument you could add, and I know I'm super happy that Equinedge added, and I guess we should probably pull this up real quick. Equinedge, do you have it ready? There we go. They added this pace figure, which I think is really interesting. If you sort by pace figure here, you can see the one horse. Maddie's Music is a clear lone speed in this spot. So I think the one horse is the price that could kind of get into the money. Unfortunately, the one horse has faced the 4 and the 5 the last couple of times and not able to really make any headway, going 5.5 furlongs. We're going 6 today, so you have that added half furlong. However, the one horse did go 21 and change, 45 and change last time out. Should get a little bit slower of a pace or be able to set a little bit of slower of a pace up front. I think trying to get the 1 into your exacta, your trifecta, is the way to make a couple bucks here. For me, I think I'm going to probably play a 4-5-1 try cold and see if I can get that home to start the night out.
There you go. Going with the 4 on top with the 5 underneath. I think the 5 definitely deserves to be in the conversation as a win candidate as well. Like Mike said, this is a 6-5 favorite in Imaginary Music. EE morning line 6-5 off of a 5-2 morning line, which, like I said, is pretty dead accurate. The 5's taken a lot of money too at 2-1. I gave the 5 a shot along with the 8 on the outside. I thought all 3 of these horses are going to kind of sit a very similar trip. I thought the 5 and the 8 were going to sit in just behind, but maybe try to get a jump on the 4 if the 4 doesn't fire. Like what Mike said about the 1, we got to look at the new pace number here. The pace number on the 1's a 90. And so what we're trying to do, guys, is in the first call of the race, we're trying to figure out who's going to be in first or second. And use the pace number like you do the GSR, like you do the SOR. If you can see a big disparity in the numbers, then you know that this horse might have a clear-cut advantage. And when we're looking at a race that has a bunch of speed in it, we want to say, okay, maybe this is going to be a pace collapse. This race doesn't have a ton of speed in it. The 1 looks lone speed. It's just a matter of, can the 1 hang on? And we know the 1's going to be a decent price. And so let's look at how he's run in the past. He's kind of, when he gets the lead, he can hang on. But if he's in a duel or anything with anybody, he kind of finishes dead last. So let's hope that we get the better version of the 1 here tonight.
Yeah, the other argument you can make is the last 2 were over a muddy track for the 1. I'm sorry, the last 2 back was a firm turf course. The one before that, or after that, was a muddy track. And this horse has 3 career wins and 9 starts. All 3 of those times were over a fast dirt track. In fact, every time this horse has hit the money has been over a fast dirt track. So you can kind of throw out that turf race, the muddy race, and just hope that you're getting something here. I think this is probably good chalk, though. It's hard to get past the 4. The 5 horse was favored over the 4 last time. So, some people would argue that playing the 5 here at a little bit better of a price. would be the way to go because you're getting 2-1 versus 6-5 when the 5 was favored last time. But if the 4 runs back to anything like last race, it's going to be awfully tough to beat it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if he fires again. As we know that the good chalks sometimes fire and sometimes they don't. They turn into bad chalks and we cross them off the list, which we'll get into later on with some Jackie's Warrior bad chalk action.
Gamin's waving in the background, wondering why she didn't get mentioned here as well.
I think Gamin's horrible chalk. If we could tier it as like good chalk, great chalk, phenomenal chalk, and then we've got tiers of the bad, worse, and the worst. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
be in there too.
Oh, terrible. Everybody, that was the kind of the they knew horse going into it when they had that workout accident with the Baltus horse coming up and screwing up her workout. That didn't do her any favors, but I think a lot of sharp horse players were on that one.
Yeah, no, I that was one of those where you could kind of see it coming, just with the setup with especially that Baffert private mission drawing the one post. You knew that was going to be 100% send.
Oh, it's fantastic. And that made for a 45-1 shot coming in to blow up everybody's pick 5 tickets that didn't hit the all button.
Yeah, it's killing us. All right. Did anyone make any plays here? Let us know in the chats if you ended up playing with anything here. We do have the one that's going to get to the lead, but didn't break quite as well as you'd want if you wanted this one to try and go gate to wire, although comfortably in the lead. It's going to be all about these fractions. If this one can go 22-46, we got a shot at hanging on. If we're sub that, it's going to be a lot of trouble.
A lot of bunched up horses on this turn. Looks like they're going to go 4 wide, all vying for the lead here.
And they are going pretty slow. That's almost 23 seconds. That's not exactly a blistering pace out there at Remington. Let's start the night with a 4-5-1.
Looks like they're creating some separation on the field. The 5 looks like he has a lot of horse as well. And looks like the 4 is all in. So we'll see what happens here in the stretch.
Let's just start the night with a 4-5-1, Brady. Let's not worry about that 5 on the outside. Let's just start the night with a
stop the race. Where's the wire? Where's the wire?
All right, who's the 8? You stop. Stop at 8. Stop at 8.
Oh no.
Oh no. He's gonna run him down, isn't he?
4, 5, 8.
Oh,
maybe the 8's gonna get second, maybe. Yeah. Wow. Look at this thing.
Oh,
that's what I wanted Essential Quality to do. This is how I wanted. That's horrible. In the Classic, I needed Essential Quality for second for big stacks. But we won't talk about that until later. We're going to head over to Charlestown after this race. Good call on the 4 being a good chalk there. That was a pretty easy win. Look at the 8's gallop out, though. I mean, it looks like that guy had a ton of horse and maybe just didn't get the fractions that the 8 needs to close into a pace. So maybe they can get him in a race with a little bit more pace up front. Right. What's up? John's in the house. Dennis is in the house here. We've got Bill. We've got Rodney. We got all the regulars tonight. It's like, this is the off season till like Thanksgiving Day when Churchill has their big day, or till the Malibu, or then we've got Pegasus and NHC, and then it's on the Derby Trail. So there is no off season in horse racing.
Well, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I mentioned this to you before the show. It's the first time all year I did not look at PPs for 3 days. I didn't look at Monday, didn't look at Tuesday, didn't look at yesterday. Like I had a nice little 3-day break, and then I was like pumped to open them back up today. So I was excited to get this going and played a tournament today. Got to do the Magic Mike show today. Got some bombs out for tomorrow. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a fun weekend. It's all that break just makes you feel rejuvenated. It's funny how all you need is those 3 days and you're good to go.
Man, you not looking at PPs. I was worried about you. I was like, did hell freeze over or did I miss something?
Someone's got to come check the house on me, man.
Oh, absolutely. All right, we're going to head over to Charleston and take a look at this race. Charleston race 5. We got the horses on the track now. Charlestown's always just a little bit behind, so it's kind of funny. In our first show that we did, we were handicapping race 6 at Charleston, and they were about a half an hour behind. So we're just going to get used to that now and deal with it. We've got a lukewarm 2-1 favorite in the Irish Knockout. EE Morning Line says this horse should be about 3-2, so we're within about half a point there. Mike, did you see anything that stood out to you? Do you think this 6 is a good chalk or a bad chalk?
I'm going bad chalk. There's a lot of speed in this race. And I just, whenever you have this type of pace duel that sets up, it kind of concerns you. You've got not 1, not 2, but 3 horses that want to go. And when you have 3 horses, that's when there's trouble. When it's 2, you can often see one doesn't break, one decides to rate behind the other, one, the inside speed has the advantage. When there's 3, they absolutely fire out and kind of go nuts a little bit on the front end. In this case, I feel like you're going to see all 3 of them go. And I think you're going to see a pretty quick pace here. I kind of like the 4 horse here. It was 6-1 on the EE Morning Line. 4 horse was 9-2 on the morning line. We're getting 7-2 right now. This horse is first off the claim for a 16% trainer going from an 8% barn. So I like the upgrade there. We're second off a layoff for a 3-year-old later in the season. You should see some improvement. The horse is 1 for 4 at the distance, has also been in the money twice. I expect a step forward here. And if we can take a step forward, I think this horse can be flying late and be able to pick up the pieces.
Kind of like that 8 was running in the last race at Remington. I agree, Mike. This is maybe going to be a pace collapse here. And this is how we can use the new pace numbers to help handicap our race. Before we didn't have these numbers. And so, we were going off of, where was the horse at first call, second call, and in the stretch, were they ahead of other horses? We really didn't have a number to compare horse to horse, track to track on how fast they actually were without using times. And so here, we're going to look at this just as we would at GSR. We've got a 79, a 78, and a 74. And then we've got a little bit of a gap down to the 51 and the 46. And the horse that Mike picked is the 4 horse at a 46 pace. So we expect this horse to probably sit 4th or 5th in behind the speed, sit kind of that pocket trip where at the top of the stretch, if he can pounce and if he's good enough, should get the setup. I like this angle of handicapping. It looks like the system likes the horse too. The live odds, he's actually taking some attention, a little bit more than the EE morning line thought he should be. 9-2, bet down to 7-2. We have him at 6-1, but he is 15% to win, and there is a little bit of disparity in the win percentages as well. And so,
the one other thing I want to mention on the 6 as well, and this is something that I look at a lot. If you notice the races the 6 is coming out of, this horse is running state bred races primarily. One time non-state bred. So we're going from state bred 5,000 claimers. And this is, Charlestown, Pennsylvania, like not exactly the biggest state bred program. So 5,000 claimers, probably not amazing. And falling into the open company, 5,000 claimers. So we're going from state bred to open, and the 4 has been running against open. So for me, that's an advantage to those horses that have been running against open company versus necessarily that state bred company. I do kind of like the 1 a little bit. And when you look at the EE percentage there, 20 or 36% for this horse, who is currently sitting on the board at 4-1. You got to go back a little bit and dig through the PPs, but this one makes a little bit of sense. I didn't like it as much as the 4, but I thought the 1 does have a decent chance. I was surprised to see that 36% number next to it, though.
Absolutely. If we go back and, do the analytics on how often favorites win, I believe it's between about 30 and 33% of the time is the favorite wins. And so you have a horse that's 4-1 and a 36% win in our system. And so definitely worth taking a look here. I agree with Mike on the 4. This is a pace setup for me. And so I just think that the 9, the 1, and the 6 are all going to kind of bang heads on the front end. And who's going to be the one there sitting there picking up the pieces? If this horse runs his race, 2 back, I think it's good enough. We also got to look a little bit at the 7 here. This is the second Scotty pick. I gave this one a look as well because it's a little bit of a class dropper in the SOR. And so that's a big one for me is like, okay, we're running at the same level, but they're comparing this class of the race to the last class of the race. And this horse is also going to sit a similar trip to the 4.
Yep. The 7 should come from a little bit off the pace. The problem is I struggle to find a race where the 7 can win. I think it might be a good underneath horse, but not necessarily on top. And that's kind of the second place. Obviously, sliding that horse underneath makes sense in the exact or the try. Dennis mentioned he likes the 7. The 9. The 9 was interesting. 9 was 60 cents on the dollar favorite last time at this level. And you're coming back, and here you're getting almost. Let me check it out here right now. You're getting 7-1.
So from 7-1,
60 cents on the dollar to 7-1. I'm a big proponent, especially at this lower level. Favorites that they lose, there's so much variance when you're playing $5,000 claimers because they're just not that consistent. So getting a horse at 60 cents on the dollar, the very next race is 7-1. Generally, that's a positive EV situation. You just have to hope the horse is able to run well. In this case, my biggest concern with the 9 is, like we said, that pace setup. The 9 was out 2 lengths for the entire field last time, first call, going 22, and then did a 47.5 and quit. We're going 46 here. And if we go 46, it's going to cause a lot of trouble with the horses up front.
Absolutely. 4.5 furlongs is an interesting configuration. I see it at Keeneland every spring for the 2-year-olds. And so a lot of times 4.5 it's just a dead out sprint. I compare it to the 5 furlong Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint where Golden Pal and Lieutenant Dan were just so far clear of the field. It didn't matter how fast they were going. Yeah. So do you ever take that into consideration? If this race was maybe at 6 furlongs, there's a better chance of a pace collapse rather than at 4.5?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I generally can get myself in trouble playing non-speed horses at 4.5, 5, and 5.5 because a lot of times a pace collapse you think just makes sense, but it's not far enough race for them to collapse. Like all they have to do is get 4.5 furlongs going that fast. In this case, because this is so low, I'm a little more hesitant to say the 4.5 is not an issue, especially when you see some of these times that it's 22:47 and they're falling off the lead. Like there's 3 horses that want to go 22, and if all 3 of them go, I think it's gonna be really tough for one of them to continue on. And that's where it's like, okay, since it's 3, I'm gonna fade away from it. But at 5, 5 on the turf, at 5.5 on the dirt, it's tough to predict the pace collapse when they can probably all just get the distance.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom. She's watching the show right now. So what's up, Mom?
Spots in the house.
She's in the house. She's like, what's this horse racing stuff that you're doing? I remember after the Pegasus, her and my sister picked me up, and my sister was like, oh, so you've got some explaining to do. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, we saw Twitter. I was like, oh, great.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it happened.
This is one that at some point we'll have to talk about that late pick 5, because it was one of the more painful pick 5s in my life. And that Aloha West beat was tough. I was all over Dr. Scheibel in that race, and that went that was a little frustrating. Not gonna lie.
I feel bad for Glatt. I know Ryan Glatt, Mark Glatt's son, and he's the assistant trainer for them, and they were really high on that horse. And to lose a photo like that, and if you watch the stretch run, so I was over Aloha West 2-back at Keeneland against Special Reserve. And so I played a huge exact to Jackie's Warrior over Aloha West because I liked how Aloha West came from off the pace. Jose Ortiz was the difference there. He learned in his last race against Special Reserve, he didn't get Aloha West going quick enough. Around the far turn, he was scrubbing Aloha West for the last 3 furlongs. That's what the difference was. And it still took that horse a long time to get going.
Yeah, that race was something, man. I still can't figure out how Broom and Dr. Scheibel lost. Like they were both open lengths in the stretch and both just got run down. And you knew you lost both. Broom obviously got Yabir was a length ahead, but man, you knew you lost both of those when they crossed the line.
Yeah, we'll talk about Yabir. That was one of the more impressive turn of foots that I've seen in a long, long time. I mean, from where he was to where he finished, Broom ran a freaking great race. I can't wait to play that horse back if we ever get to.
I'm not sure we'll ever see it here in the U.S. again.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Joe? How's it going, man? Good to have you. And we are about to get off here from Charleston, race number 5. Charlestown, race number 5. Good luck, everybody who played. I think we got 4. We got the 6. We got the 7. We got the 9. So we've got a couple people all over the place. Brady, do you have a top pick here, the 4?
Yeah, I was on the 4, and I sprinkled a little bit of the 7 in. I'm hoping for a pace collapse. It looks like the 8 or the 9's acting up. That's not a Charlie Appleby horse, is it?
He shipped in for the $5,000 claimer at Charlestown.
Needed a little bit more money.
The Godolphins just like, we got to win them all. No, we can't. We're not giving up.
We're going to try you Americans on the dirt now. What if?
No.
I mean, that's the thing. They're doing such a great job overseas. Oh, looks like the 9 is going to be pulled up, possibly. We got the 6 and the 7s. This is changing the whole dynamic of the race. The one thing that the pace algorithm can't tell us is who's going to break bad.
Yeah.
So
the 3 is that the 5 is flying. Okay, yeah, the 3 is not as far up as I thought it would be either, but the 7 out there now.
Yeah, we thought the 1 would be a little bit closer now. Huge advantage for the 7. I mean, this is uncontested pace. The 4's got some work to do, but let's see here. This 6 actually floated up to 7-2. Was 2-1 when we were discussing it about 4 or 5 minutes ago.
The 1 went off at 5-2.
Wow.
Let's see if they come back to him. This is that problem of the 5.5 furlongs, where even if they go out there, well, they got to go 47. I mean, I thought they were going to go much faster than 47 up front.
There we go. Got the 7 home. Interesting. It's unfortunate, we want all the horses to break well, but unfortunately that doesn't always happen, and that's why they call it horse racing, and that's why they run the race.
Man, look at these final odds. That was such a shift from when we were talking about it. I mean, you got 5-2 there, 7-2 on the 4. You've got 7-2 on the 6. And the 6 was projected to be 6-5 or 7-5. 7-2 is actually a great price on the 6. If I had known I was getting that, I might have bet the 6. But here we saw the 7 get the job done, and Colin close here with the 7-6-1. 1 lost the photo for 3rd. That was just need a couple flips there. Yeah, and the 9 obviously not breaking made a huge difference there in that race.
All right, there you have it. We like the 4 and the 7 there, and even without the speed collapse, I think the 4 would have benefited had the 9 broke and pressed the pace a little bit more with the 6, but obviously we didn't have that happen. Mike, let's talk a little bit about Breeders' Cup while we've got some time in between the next Remington race. Mike and I both played in the BCBC, and so we had to bet 3 races on Friday and 7 races on Saturday. And they set the minimum, so it's a decent part of your bankroll. I mean, what is it, about 8% of your bankroll is each minimum, roughly. Forgive my math if that's a little bit wrong. But, there's a number of different strategies. It was another impressive performance by the winner. And really in the BCBC, it's a betting challenge more than a handicapping challenge. And the guy that won said that he's a better bettor than he is a handicapper. And he made 3 big plays, and it was good enough to win.
Well, that's the key. I mean, the 3 big plays, right? It's all about that. That especially is you want to get a little bit of chunk of change going. You got to get something early or something in that middle part of the tournament so you can have money at the end and then hit hard at the end. You have to have a big opinion late in those big tournaments. And if you're able to do so, and his was Nick's Go, I was planning on trying to bet 40,000 on Nick's Go if I could get it up to that before the race. And that's how you win these tournaments, is that you really hammer those opinions, especially the betting challenges ones. It's funny. I talked about this betting show last week. You look at the winners every year, there's 5 or 6 show bets they make because they just want to get past the race, try and stay right around there where they are and just move along in it. And I was upset with myself because I specifically mentioned you play Gamine for 500 to show and you play a $100 double. I ended up not doing that. That would have been a great strategy because it would have been CC. It wouldn't have been Golden Pal in the next race, to be fair. So I would have lost the $100 anyway, but I would have been essentially free rolling a $100 double while completing a minimum. And so it's all about betting and how you structure your tickets, how you able to handle that. For me, mine started out pretty rough. I had 2 entries, and half of one of my entries went on Averly Jane in the first race. And as soon as Twilight Gleaming outbroke her, I kind of knew that one was over.
And that was a hard one. I was heavy on Averly Jane as well. I thought this was maybe the Golden Pal of last year. And here is Wesley Ward has 3 in the race, and Twilight Gleaming is actually the fastest. This is one of the best breaks that I saw all weekend out of the gate. I mean, you would have thought that her gate opened a half a second before the rest of the field because that's how fast she broke. She was already 2 strides in before the others were even out of the gate, it looked like.
It was wild, man. You see Irad just like chilly. And then you go to Tyler on the 8, and he's just like, and he can't get within a length of the horse for the whole first quarter. It's like, what do you do? Yeah. What happened here? Where did this come from Twilight Gleaming? But it was, it was a great race from Twilight Gleaming, 1240, a great price. I mean, Wesley Ward in the turf sprint. Hey guys, this is the 3rd year in a row. Let's catch on. This might be happening. Because Irad was won the last 2 with this as well. So literally this combination, 3rd year in a row. So one of those where it's like, yeah, maybe we should have.
It's the Ward and Irad Invitational, and Ward had 2 of the 3 in the trifecta. I liked Darien underneath as well as Twilight Gleaming. So in the contest, I played a huge double into Echo Zulu, and I'm not normally a guy that likes to play early in the contest. If you have a strong opinion, by all means go. But the bigger the pools, the less that we're going to shift it. And I'll get into that later on how we placed the biggest daily double of our lives, and we didn't even move the Will Pays $1.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit of a humbling moment, but we don't have to worry about that anymore. But yeah, impressive performance. The thing that I think tricked everybody was Twilight Gleaming ran 2 races overseas before coming back to America. And so we had a hard time figuring out who was faster. And, maybe it wasn't Averly Jane's day. I don't want to necessarily call her a bad chalk. I mean, she went off at 9-5. She had the hype. She had the races that proved that she should have been the favorite. It wasn't her day, but it's a 14-horse field. So with 12 runners. So I don't really think that she's that terrible of a chalk. I just think it's a turf sprint and it's a wide open race.
Yeah, once she got out broke, you knew it was over, right? And that was really the thing. And so she's not a horse that I'm really going to downgrade from this effort because she still ran well. I mean, Averly Jane stalked the pace and ended up in the mess that was that 4th place finish. You mentioned Darien out of this race. I'm really interested in Darien getting back to the East Coast. Because when we stretch out, we're talking about 5.5 at Saratoga, 6 at Belmont. We're up at Woodbine, going anywhere from 5.5 to 7. This horse is going to be good. Like I thought this horse was solid underneath play. So there were 3 turf sprints on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The first place horse won every single one of those out of the gate, right? And so clearly at the 5 furlongs at Del Mar, you wanted to be on the lead. You needed to be on the lead. And I thought Darien ran really well for not being on the lead, or Darien ran really well for not being on the lead.
One thing that we noticed were the sprint races, you had to be on the lead. The routes, you did not want to be anywhere close to the lead.
No, none of the time.
I mean, this is, of the Breeders' Cups that I've watched, I thought Del Mar was maybe one of the more fair tracks that I've seen in the last 4 years. It wasn't just a speedball course like Keeneland was last year on the dirt. It was very fair. And so, I mean, that's all you can ask for as a handicapper.
Yep. No, it was you saw the turf or the sprints on the dirt kind of collapse a little bit, but that's because you had three horses in every single one on the lead or near the lead, except for the Gamine race. But then you had the two of them out there just chucking it. The inside was bad on the dirt. I think you could see that, especially on the second day. As early as the marathon, you had horses in the 3 or 4 path going around that turn. You saw both Gamine and Jackie's Warrior in at least the 2 path and have horses go inside of them. Life is Good was in the 3 or 4 path. Nixo was in the 3 or 4 path. No one wanted that rail. I actually think if Dunbar Road or if Malathat had been outside of that 10 horse, I think either of them end up winning that race.
I agree. I wish that we could have switched the trips with Malathat because you and I were both heavy into Malathat. That would have changed our whole contest complex. I mean, I had 2 huge plays starting with Malathat and ending there. And so that would have been a huge maker for, I mean, she only lost by 3/4 of a length to that awesome photo finish between the 10 and Dunbar Road.
Awesome. Not awesome photo finish. Would have been awesome with the 11-1. That was one of the most painful photo finishes of my life for the simple reason that I thought I lost the race in real time. And then they showed the darn shutter cam. And I was sure the 11-1. And then
outside horse, man. They cover it up on the inside. And so great effort by Dunbar Road. You know, we were both at the NHC the time that Dunbar Road ran before that on Traverse Day. And we thought that Dunbar Road, Royal Flag, and Bonnie South all had a chance to beat Latruska that day. So betting back Dunbar Road was the mistake that I made by not betting her back. So Echo Zulu was very impressive. I thought, you know, when I saw Joel look between his legs 2 or 3 times, we're like, yep, this one's home. Unfortunately, it was a 6-horse field, but Joel's done well in this race the last 3-4 years with Jaywalk. And then I believe he had another winner not too long ago in this juvenile fillies race. But, 6-horse field, once the 5 broke bad, Juju's Mat for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux, we kind of knew that Joel said goodnight to the rest of the field.
Yeah, this was kind of over at the break. I mean, the 5 hopped a little bit, couldn't press the 6. The 2 broke poorly. You do take out the other 2 horses that had a legitimate shot at Echo Zulu, and she just ran away from the field. Now, it may not have mattered. She was really impressive in this day. And I wasn't a huge Echo Zulu fan in this spot, but she looked awfully good in this race. We should jump over to Remington here, and then we can kind of jump back into the Breeders' Cup talk as we keep going. We are 6 minutes away from Remington right now. We're Remington race 4 here. This was another one where I thought that there's a little bit of value in trying to get rid of this 5. Were you on the 5? You say good chalk or bad chalk here?
I'm on the 5. Based on the pace number, this 5 should be gone. You know, we have an 80 pace number followed up by a 52 and a 40. And, you know, we are going 2 turns on the dirt here. So I expect this 5 Sky Jumper to have good position early in the race to kind of set some softer fractions. The horse is also our top GSR and our top win percentage. And so I felt like the 5 was a horse that I could probably try to press in a multi-race wager or use on top in some exotics.
Yeah, I think it is a 2-horse race. I think the 5 and the 4 are the 2 that you have to look at. For me, I kind of like the 4 a little bit more. The problem is the pace, right? The 5 could kind of just get away here and get loose. 5 has never gone longer than a mile, which is a little bit concerning to me coming out of multiple sprint races here. But it's going to get a clear lead. It's the question of whether or not the 4 is going to be able to run the horse down late. You kind of chuck the last 2 because those were both on the turf. And you go back and you have mid to high 70s fire numbers. And if you look at the SOR, the 4 is actually coming out of tougher races than the 5 is. I'm a big Scott Young fan. He's the trainer of the 4 here. So I feel like right here, the kind of spot is, do you play the 4 or the 5 from a win perspective? I think clearly the 4 is the choice there. And if you look at the Equinedge morning line, you've got 8-5 on the 4, you've got 9-5 on the 5, and you're getting 5-2 on the 4 versus 4-5 on the 5. So there it shows there's a little bit of value. Multi-race wise, I liked the 8 a little bit, but not enough to really play a double in the next one. So I think I'm just going to put a smaller win bet on the 4 and call it a day.
All right. Mike's on the 4. I'm on the 5. Looks like we still have about 4 minutes to go till we get to the next race at Remington here. We can jump back to Breeders' Cup for a little bit here. Let's see here. We were on race 8. This would have been the Juvenile Fillies Turf, Pizza Bianca, which was huge in the winner of the BCBC. This is a Bobby Flay horse. Gave Christophe Clement his first Breeders' Cup victory. And there were a lot of firsts. Christophe Clement, Ken McPeak kind of won a Breeders' Cup race, but kind of didn't still. And
Like,
then you got 2 Japanese horses that won for the first time.
I don't think Ken McPeak technically gets credit for it.
I don't think so, but he kind of won.
He kind of, no, sort of, maybe. Let's not talk about it.
If we look up in the Equibase records, 20 years from now, hey, who won the Breeders' Cup Turf back in 2021?
I'm pretty sure it's whatever the terrible one horse that scratched and screwed everybody. I can't remember his name right
Modern
now.
Games.
Modern Games. Yeah. There it is. I'm still mad at him. I'm pretty sure he got the towel and took his picture.
He did. I don't think who got paid in the window?
Yeah, who got paid in the window is the other one. You know what? I would have loved to know. You know who shoved on Pizza Bianca in the BCBC? Bobby Flay. He was in the tournament. And he shoved on his own horse. That would have been great to know beforehand because
he was up to like 25 grand, I think. Is it a rule in a BC? I know in the NHC, it's a rule if you have a horse because Carl Broberg, was it Broberg or I think it was him that played in the NHC. I think the rule is that if you play the race, you have to bet your horse. You
don't have to. You can only bet your horse on top. So you can play an exacta, a double, and you can only single it. So if it's a double, you have to single that horse. If you're playing an exacta, the horse has to be in the first spot. You cannot have another horse in that first spot. If you're playing a win bet, you have to bet it, but you can bet as much or as little as you want. And so for the fact that he wins, Bobby Flay, $600,000 for this homebred winning the race, that he then thinks it's important enough to bet $5,000 or whatever he had at that point on the horse as well, tells you how much he liked this horse this day. So I wish I had known that. I was not on Pizza Bianca even a little bit, but man, she was roaring late, and this was one of those where. The morning line had her as the favorite at 5-1, and that moved me away from her more than anything else because I had no interest in this horse, the favorite. 9-1, not a bad spot.
Absolutely. You know what? I think you should be able to bet on your horses. Just like if you're betting to win, Pete Rose probably bet on his team to win every single time, and he should be a Hall of Famer. But that's a different story for another time. This race, I tried to get a little creative here. I used Koala Princess and Consumer Spending in doubles into the next race. And so, we really didn't have anything here. Pizza Bianca's trip on Twitter, it's been retweeted a few times. They have a jockey cam on Jose Ortiz, and he came from the clouds. I mean, it was like the Red Sea just parted for him, and he just took advantage of it, made every right move. And when you're going 40 miles an hour plus on a horse, to make those moves and cuts and pass the entire field of Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies turf horses, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Oldie mentioned here, you really couldn't be outside. Yeah, you didn't want to be outside, and you didn't want to be forwardly placed. And you had the most patient rides seemed to consistently win. You saw that from Yabir, you saw that from Pizza Bianca, you saw that from Love's Only You. So those just calm, patient rides, and then getting the right split at the right time, which Jose Ortiz got, which Love's Only You both got, to be able to split horses at the perfect time, keep your momentum, and get to the front. It's amazing rides.
Absolutely. And I think the ride on Love's Only You is a classic ride. I mean, that was the most patient, way more patient than Julian was on Warlike Goddess, which we'll get to later on. Corniche went gate to wire. After the scratch of Jack Christopher, that was huge for the pace dynamic in this race. All of a sudden you go from, is this Chad horse faster than all 3 Bafferts? Is this the next monster? To now, Baffert's going to have a lone speed horse, and he's not going to send 2. So figuring out which was the right Baffert to choose. And a lot of times the higher priced Baffert is the one that goes and gets the lead, and the other one kind of sits back. But we'll let this race go off at Remington, and then we'll get back to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, which was not the last race on Friday.
No, it wasn't. It should have been. Would have been nice if it was. A lot less controversy if that was the last race of the day there on Friday. I played the 4 here, although I haven't seen the odds to see if we've had that odds flip that we've seen in the last couple of races. And Brady, you were on the what?
I'm on the 5
here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Corniche was impressive. We keyed him in the BCBC, which was, we took a shorter price than what we wanted to because I jumped off of Jack Christopher after the scratch. I just had to take a decision of, okay, Baffert's going to have some tactics in here. He's not going to send 2. Which one's he going to send? Mike Smith on the outside. And Command and Performance took a lot of money too.
Yep.
Clean start.
Wow.
5 did not break. And looks like he's trying to be rushed up for the lead, and so that's going to take a little bit of energy out of the 5. Let's see if
he's not going to clear. That's going to be a
he's
problem.
not. This is bad for the 5 right now.
He's setting up beautifully for the 4.
Absolutely. 4 is going to sit in 5th, just behind this
Another
wall
4
of
lengths back
horses
to
that
Georgia
looks like they're
City.
going pretty
Sports
quick
fans
up
are
front.
both
We haven't
gonna
gotten a
wait
fraction yet,
for
but
the running when they
okay.
get to the top of the stretch.
24 going 2 turns at Remington.
Let's
It's hard
check
to kind of tell if that's fast or not.
So the 2 is a sprinter, been going 22, 20, 44, so we don't really have any idea there. The 4 is closer to 20 similar paces before, though.
The 5 floated up to 2-1, so I wonder, did the 4 go off favored?
I've got 9-5 right now.
9-5.
Sports fan.
Whoa, 4 went off at 6-5. So this is the problem with some of these smaller tracks is tough because I would not want any part of the 4 at 6-5. Whereas
you're not going to have that happen at the Breeders' Cup. Trust me.
No,
I tried.
Now it's all about whether or not this 5 can hold it.
First time sprinting.
First time 2 turns, yeah.
2 turns. Or, excuse me, yeah, 2 turns.
Trying to run away from him here midway through the final turn.
I mean,
Here comes the 4. Here he
pretty
goes.
comfortable, but we'll find out.
Does he look like Nick's go?
Not quite that good. There's no way it gets here, right?
Nope.
Sky Jumper is clear by 4.
I was glad that the price floated up on the 5 a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great price. I mean, 2-1. That's kind of what I mentioned, where you have those morning lines that are right around the same. You want the horse at a longer price here, and it was clearly these 2. Oh boy,
Wire.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. He shut him down. Yeah, no, that was great, and credit to the new pace number on that because that was fantastic. We had a 90 pace figure on that 5, and it was clearly lone speed. He didn't even break the best and still was able to get up there and clear. We'll go back to the Breeders' Cup for a few minutes, and then we're going to go out to Charlestown. Corniche, what more to say? Here's my one question. This horse did not earn points towards the Kentucky Derby, yet it's still in the Baffert barn, wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. What do you do if you're the ownership group? You've got to move to some other barn so you can get some Derby points, right? Or is Bob going to luck out and maybe get invited back?
Well, let me. Do you think Bob Baffert will have a Derby horse this year?
I hope not, but yeah, he will. He'll have 3.
So there's your answer. Like I kind of feel the same way as you do. I wish that I didn't, but I mean, we've lost the second sample. It's now been contaminated. We're like 8 months out from when the Derby, 6 months out from when the Derby was run. We still have no clue what the outcome of this is. Like, I would be surprised if there is no positive test. Like if he's still the Derby winner in February of next year, don't you think Baffert sues CDI, Churchill, Kentucky Racing Association, says, hey, I wasn't even disqualified. Why? You're kicking me out for a positive test. You can't prove it's positive. Like it just, I can't be less happy about what I think the outcome of this is going to be, but I'm pretty sure I know what the outcome of this is going to be just because horse racing. So let's talk about the 10th at Del Mar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the horse racing right now, as far as the drugs go, it's like the SEC in football. So, but just blow it under the rug. Anyway, this race, we don't need to talk about what happened because everybody knows there were 2 scratches where really there only should have been 1. Then they placed the horse back in to run for purse money only. Modern Games aired the field. Everybody I was with had Modern Games singled, but me. So I was like, all right, I didn't really care what happened. But then when we got back to the hotel, we were doing the math on the guys that I was with, and I was like, oh, shoot, that was a lot of money that they got screwed out of. And so, unfortunately, horse racing didn't side with the bettors. This time, Tis the Bomb is your winner, but Modern Games is your champion. This was, another Charlie Appleby, William Buick ball-out session. I mean, this wasn't even close.
I mean, Charlie Appleby probably had the best weekend of anyone. He won 4 of these turf races, and there were 7 of them, 6 of them. Like it's just unbelievable the rate that he won these turf races at, and that's when you include 2 sprints, which he probably had 0 chance of winning. So if you think about it that way, and there's 7 races on the turf, he wins 4 of the 5 that he has a legit shot at winning. That's absolutely crazy, man. So he had a day, and I mean, the Bowie Legend's an interesting one. I think the Bowie Legend was kind of hurt by the turf course, the outside post, and then the fact that you couldn't be forwardly placed. And DeBowie Legend is one of the horses that wants to be forwardly placed. By the way, DeBowie, the top stud fee next year in the world, thought that was kind of cool. He'll be the most $350,000. He'll be the most expensive in the world. Modern Game's really impressive. Looking forward to see what this horse does in the future. This one could keep taking steps forward. This was frustrating. This was my top pick, and obviously a lot of stuff went sideways after they broke, and it was a mess. So yeah, hopefully, and I'm not holding my breath on this either. This enacts change that we now no longer have horses run for purse money only because they shouldn't be allowed to. It screws the bettor, and hopefully we can get a alternate button on our pick 4s, pick 5s, and pick 6s sometime in the near future. You can do it on the Del Mar tote machines. Why can't I do it on my ADW? Like, explain that to me. How does that
a lot of people don't know that. If you can choose an alternate, you got to be there on the tote machine, not on, TVG or ExpressBet or whatever outlet you use, which, come on, it's 2021. We've got the tech on Equine Edge. It's like the ADWs need to catch up. So
yeah, that's the problem, man. It's like, this is even hard. This is like, and this is a specific situation where you're like, anyone who had the 3 or the 1 or the 2 kind of all got screwed. Because if you had the 3, you weren't thinking, I'm getting 5-2 on this horse, and multi races I'm going to get. You're hoping for the 8-1 morning line, but multi races you're looking for like 12-1, right? Well, guess what? You now got like 3-5 on that 3 horse because every ticket on the 2, every ticket on the 1, every ticket on the 3, all end up on the 3.
And that was a Danny Gargan horse for the favorite. So you've got these Euro studs that come over, and then now I'm single to Danny Gargan. It's kind of the same. What's the solution? I think the solution is you get all in the race if that scenario happens again.
Well, see,
I would take an all there, but then if you're going to scratch him and the mistake was made, you have to be able to correct the mistake and put him back on the board.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. And I don't like the all button because that really screws over everyone who was on the correct horse if the favorite doesn't win. Like, that's why I think alternates is the easiest way to do it. You have a first and second alternate, and everyone can do it from there.
Right.
All right, we are about a minute out from Charlestown race 6 here. Brady, you want to kick us off? We can flip over here. Flip over here to Equine Edge real quick.
So the first thing that I'm doing now in every single race is I'm sorting by the pace. I used to sort by SOR first, then I started sorting by GSR, but ever since this new pace number came out, it's the first thing that I look at. It helps me visualize the race before I even start looking at any of the other metrics. So now I know who's expected to be on the lead, who's going to be stalking, and who's going to be coming late in the race. And kind of like that 4 was in the last race there at Remington, it was a 9 pace number early, which it showed it sat second last. And the 5 had the top number, broke bad, even went to the front, and they finished 5-4. So, that was a good tool to use to handicap this race. Unfortunately, the 1 looks like he's going to go off at 6-5 or even money. This isn't as much of a pace advantage as the last race was. We had a big 30-point discrepancy between the 5 and then the next fastest horse in the last race at Remington. Here we've only got a 6-point discrepancy. I did like the 1. I didn't think we were going to have to swallow 7-5 on him. This is a second start out, settled for second halfway around the track, and then ended up chasing and couldn't quite get there. So I like that this horse shows a lot of early speed. And when we're talking about these 4.5 furlong races, if we just would have watched the last race at Charlestown that went off, it was an absolute merry-go-round track. And so I expect the 1 to be up there. The system really likes the 3, the first-time starter here. Given 34%, you have the top trainer, top jockey at Charlestown. And so the pace number is even kind of interesting here on the 3, saying that this is going to be the horse sitting in third. What do you think of the 3 here, Mike?
Well, I mean, I originally liked the 1 more than the 3, but I thought the 3 was going to be favored over the 1. So now I'm kind of leaning back toward the 3 in this spot. You mentioned Froggy the Gremlin, the 3 horse. You have a trainer that's hitting at 26% of the meet, jockey that's hitting at 33% of the meet, combined in 550 starts at Charlestown. They're 33% together. And oh, by the way, the trainer is 30% first-time starters. Now, the problem is all of those angles are negative ROI, which means you've got a lot of heavy favorites you're winning and not often that many prices. Here we're getting 3-1. That almost scares me a little bit because it's a little cold on the board when you have 26%, 33%, 30%, and 30%. Like that's a lot of high percentages for a horse to be around the morning line. You'd expect that horse is going to dip a little bit. The other thing that I think is interesting about this is you're getting Outwork in this race. Outwork is one of my favorite young sires. It's the son of Uncle Mo that only ran a few races out of the Pletcher barn, I believe it was. It was on the Derby trailer, one of the favorites in the Derby, something like that. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But he has been one of those sires that I think is pretty good. If we get 3-1 on the 3, I'm interested. I'm worried that we're not going to get 3-1. We're going to see something similar we have in the last few races where you have this massive money shift over. So let's take a peek and see if we've got double prices so we can try and game the system a little bit. This is what I like to do whenever I'm betting a win bet at these type of tracks. I always want to look at what is the double price going into this. In this case, the 1 is $11. The double to the 3 is $21.
Wow.
I think you're probably going to hold up around 3-1 on this 3 horse. In that case, I'd play a few shekels on the 3 here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm taking the 1 here, gate to wire. I think the second time starter, as long as he can get the lead, shouldn't have to pass any horses. We'll see what we get from this first-time starter. I think 3-1's a very fair price on the 3. Now 6-5 on the 1 versus 7-2 on the 3. So it looks like they're trying to walk back towards the gate. We can talk about the Gamine race real quick while we've got a second before these horses go off. This was a very singled horse. And, Mike, you talk about this all the time on the Magic Mike show, trying to beat the horse in the sequence that you think is going to be the most singled that you think is vulnerable. And this was exactly that horse.
That's a huge separator, right? And this was one of those spots where it was tough to come up with a way that Gamine was going to lose. And then Bella Sofia decided, I'm just going to 100% go and see what happens. And I think that really cost both of them the race. It was interesting. Rudy Rod afterwards said the third best horse won. He's the trainer of the 6th Bella Sofia.
Wow.
Just shots fired, man. Just shots fired. And in contrast, I'd be like, hey, why didn't you rate then? Like, if you
right?
I mentioned this on the show, and I think someone made fun of me, but like the issue with Bella Sofia was drawing outside. If Bella Sofia draws inside, I think this may be a very different race because you have a few more options. I mean, Bella Sofia's going. Gamine probably rates off Bella Sofia. Great call, Michael, by the way, on CC there. You end up getting a great price on CC. I mean, 6-1, awesome price on a horse that gets the absolute dream trip setup. I was handicapping. We did the late pick 4 at Churchill, and you have Wisconsin and Bell's the One, who are both running in a $300,000 stakes at Churchill. How much do they kick in themselves for not showing up here? They both had a legit shot at winning this race based on the way this played out, but they were too chicken to take on Gamine one more time, and this was the time to do it.
Absolutely. And you know what? Gamine's raced all over the country. New York, Kentucky, Oakland, has failed drug tests all over the country as well. And so she comes back to her home state of California, didn't quite have that signature Baffert rebreak at the top of the stretch that we were all waiting for. And, I had a lot of confidence in Gamine. I played doubles with Gamine. I wasn't just going to take the $600 show on her. I was trying to actually make some value into Golden Pal. So I was disappointed that Gamine didn't get the job done. But I was like, all right, all she has to do is clear Bella Sofia. Even if Bella Sofia was somehow faster, and Bella Sofia is no Serengeti Empress, I'm sorry. Gamine stalked Serengeti Empress last year and was able to pass her in the stretch. Anyway, out of sight, out of mind, let's go to Charlestown.
All right, we'll head over there so I don't have to tell my terrible betting decision that I made in this race. I'm absolutely kicking myself. So, all right, Charlestown.
Golden medal.
4.5 furlongs. I mean, I might be able to make it around 4.5 furlongs in about 3 minutes. But
we should have a race. Good chalk, bad chalk. Me and you, 4.5 furlongs. I would bet that one of us pulls a hammy, and there'll be a non-finish there. DNF.
I played basketball last night for the first time in 2 years. I went 7 of 13 from 3, so that was good. But we were all winded. Think about all these washed-up athletes that used to be kind of good at sports, and now we all go way too hard on Wednesday nights. It's just somebody gets hurt every year.
You probably got some open looks then, right?
I did, yeah. In
everyone's gassed,
man. Yeah. I conserve my energy on the defensive end. I'm not very useful. All right. Looks like we're getting everybody in the gate here. Let's hope everybody breaks clean. I think the 1's gate to wire. We're interested in this 3, the first-time starter, though, at a nice price. But as we know, if we blink, the odds could totally shift the other way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the 9 horse also is the other one who showed speed first time out. Could do something second. Yeah. 4 is a monster price first time out. And clipped heels didn't finish the race. And another one where the trainer's good off a layoff. But I think the 1 and the 3 are going to be tough here.
All right. Here we go. Looks like everybody broke cleanly. And the 1's trying to go up and grab the lead with the 3 as well.
Yep.
So that 3 showing a lot of early speed for a first-time starter.
Well, that's where it's tough sometimes. These first-time starters, it's so hard to figure out what type of pace you're going to see from them. And in this case, you've seen a lot of turn of foot from the 3. He is asking, though, every step of the way right now.
He is. It looks like the 1's fine with his position, and he's probably going to take over the lead here. And this could maybe be a little teaching moment, but looks like the 3's got a second wind. They're kind of ding-donging back and forth on the front end right now.
There's the 9 and the 4. Probably should have played this super. I think the 3's got him. He put him away that second time. It's the 9 that's the threat, right?
Oh, was that Irad?
Yeah, right. That was a pretty aggressive pull-up there.
That might have been a Paco.
I think maybe I can get him taken down here if I just fade back.
Interesting that 3 was okay. The 3 was very chilly on the board, 5-2 compared to the 1 at 6-5. I think that everybody thought the 1 was, including myself, I thought the 1 was going to go get the lead there. The 9 went off at 5-2 as well and really made it a race. Inquiry. What do you
They're
think we're
gonna
going
look
to
at
do
the
here? The
stretch
one
run.
was put away. Did it cost the one a placing? I'm not sure what the rule is in this jurisdiction.
Well,
but
jockey definitely cost the one in placing. I'm not sure if the 3 did.
We will see. Hold all tickets. The funny thing at the Breeders' Cup is you got to go look at all the merchandise, and one of the shirts was hold all tickets.
Yeah.
And so I thought I might get me one of those because I feel like I'm involved in way more of these inquiries than I should be.
Well, so personally, the 3 should not come down in my mind. I did not think he egregiously came over, and this was just in obviously the real time one, but the one was also beat. That to me is the other part of this. The one was gone, and I think the 3 was gone. The 3 had won the race, and I think the one's jockey may have exaggerated a touch there. I don't know if you had to be that aggressive with the pull-up move, but yeah, you got to think that the 3 would have won the race. This is where it's frustrating because now if the 3 does come down, anyone who bet the 3 gets a little frustrated if that horse ends up coming down here because it was
absolutely. And you know what? With young horses, these are 3-year-olds. This is were they 2-year-olds? I was looking at the Golden Pal race here real quick. This was
these are 3-year-olds.
3-year-olds. First time starter though for the 3. I think the stewards should give a little bit more slack to first time starters and younger horses than they do older horses. Because this is the first time the horse has ever ran in his life. And look at the Derby. The Derby, you're going to get banged and bumped around a little bit. It happens every single year. So I just would like to be a little bit more lenient on these. We're pro horse safety. We're pro protect the bettors on this show. And so, but these horses are learning. I mean, they're babies. I mean, what more do you want? You can't really simulate a race in training like you can, when you're in the gate with 8 or 9 horses. And so I hope this 3 stays up as well. We're glad to see that nobody was injured on the 1, but at the end of the day, nobody was beating this 3. So if this horse gets taken down, I feel like that's kind of a slap in the face to anybody that punched a ticket on the 3.
Kind of crazy. We just got 5-2 on a trainer that sends out first-time starter winners at 30% and a trainer-jockey combination that's 33% over 550 starts. That's a little bit nutty. If this horse stays up, that is a crazy price to hold there. We'll see what happens though here. I would expect that he stays up, but we'll see what happens.
All right.
There we go.
In the meantime, there we go. Unofficial. There we go.
3 gets home.
All right. Good job. First time starter. Great price. Hopefully you guys had that. Let us know if you had that in the chat. We're going to head back to a little bit of Breeders' Cup recap before we send you guys off for the last race of the night. This was the Turf Sprint, and I loved this race because everybody that I talked to tried to talk me off of Golden Pal, and I was all about Golden Pal. So I've got to take that one to the bank. That was awesome. I mean, look, the Golden Pals races leading up to the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint weren't like wowza. It wasn't like last year when he was a 2-year-old where he was dusting fields. It was like, all right, Golden Pal looked beat at Keeneland, and then he rebroke at the top of the stretch. He had Johnny V on him instead of Irad Ortiz Jr. When this horse broke, though, you're like, where's Lieutenant Dan? That's what I was looking for the whole time. I was like, all right, Lieutenant Dan, I know, is very fast. That's the threat to the outside. These two are going to absolutely gun each other on the front end. Then I see Lieutenant Dan, going as fast as he can. He still wasn't fast enough to be within a length of Golden Pal, let alone 2. And they kind of went around on the track. I hit a nice exact on this race. It wasn't a contest play, unfortunately. Hindsight, it's tough.
Why would you bet it in the contest, right?
Why would I bet it in the contest? I bet with my own money. And that's a hard dynamic is when you're playing a contest play versus, your own money. This paid $16, and it was never in doubt for like the last 3 or 4 furlongs of this race. Europe won this race last year with glass slippers. Any thoughts on this race here?
I fell in love with Emiratiana. Probably shouldn't have. I should have just played speed. That's, by the way, that 98 pace was dead on. That's the fastest I've ever seen a horse break. Del Mar 5 furlongs probably should have just stuck with speed, right? I mean, that was the mistake. The 5 and 5.5 is a huge difference.
Look at the pace numbers here. It hit this try straight with the pace number with Golden Pal over Lieutenant Dan over Charmaine's Mia. So if you just played the pace on a 5 furlong turf sprint, that try paid $147.85.
Doesn't suck.
Yeah, wish I would have played in the contest, but there's no woulda, shoulda, couldas in horse racing. It's only what you did or you did not do. We'll go on to race 6 here. This was the Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile, and what I thought was one of the most visually impressive performances I've seen in person in my 4 years of being in this sport. Life is good, 3-5. What a gift. I know multiple people that shoved all in on this horse in the contest, and I mean, if I would have told you that Jackie's Warrior was going to be a lower price than Life is Good, actually, no, Mike, you told me that. You're like, looking at the wheel page, you're like, you're going to be surprised. This Jackie's Warrior horse is going to be 1 to 2 or 2 to 5. 3 to 5 actually ended up being really good chalk on Life is Good.
Well, we talked about how bad the rest of this field was, and that really is what it comes down to. I mean, Life is Good, probably the most talented 3-year-old we have this year, faced a field that was meh, like right? Like there's just not much in this spot. You see Ginobili run second, and that was a logical pick for second. Ginobili, I thought, ran his skin off.
Huge effort by Ginobili after the break.
Yeah. He had to rush up and was the only horse at any point that threatened Golden Pal and looked like he had a little bit left turning for home and just wasn't as good as Golden. Or I'm sorry, the only horse that threatened Life is Good and threatened him around the turn just wasn't good enough to be able to get by Life is Good. I thought Ginobili back is probably going to be very good if he comes back next year. Life is Good is probably going to be your best older male next year. And Pletcher after the race said he can go as far as he wants. This is just an open and shut case. This is very good chalk. Like the best. This is the second best chalk of the weekend because you got 3-1 on Nick's Go. That's the only reason. It was morning line chalk, but not off price chalk.
Oh, absolutely. I asked you on the show last week if I was going to give you 10-1 odds on Life is Good to win the Classic next year. Would you take it? I'm going to ask you again.
No.
Still no.
This horse is fragile, man. He's more fragile than you playing pickup basketball right now. We got no clue if he'll be able to make it till next year.
I am fragile. All right, here we go. Now on to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Loves Only You gives Japan the victory at 4-1 over My Sister Nat and Warlike Goddess. Brady would have been really happy if Warlike Goddess would have gotten up here. But Julian started moving on this horse. Actually, I think Warlike Goddess started moving on her own down the backstretch, and then Julian kind of continued the move. She inherited the lead at the top of the stretch, which is very rare for her. Usually she has a target, and I kind of wish that she would have sat just a lot longer. Loves Only You got the best ride I saw all weekend, maybe. It being patient, got passed by other horses. I told my buddy Greg, I said, maybe this horse can only run at her top speed for a 16th of a mile. That's what I'm thinking, because I looked at her race 2 back against Mishriff. This was, I think it was 2 back. It was, against Mishriff over in Saudi Cup Day. And she got the lead and then just ran out of juice late, and Mishriff passed her with another horse, lost by like a length. So maybe the strategy was, hey, we want you to wait until you can't wait any longer, and then boom, turn on the turbo button.
Well, in this case, that the ride made all the difference. Being able to save just that little bit of extra ground around the turn. Both Love got in trouble if you watch the second turn, right? The only time they went around the far turn or the clubhouse turn, she was 5 wide on the second turn for no reason, and then that really kind of ended Love's day early. Then Warlike Goddess and Love both sent too early. It's just like, all right, we'll see what happens. My Sister Nat runs huge here for the Chad Brown barn. He had a rough photo day as well, losing both here and losing with Dunbar Road. But Loves Only You. Congratulations, Japan. This was probably the best horse in the race. Yeah. Great to see it get done at 4-1. All right, we got to flip over to our last race here from Remington, and then we'll maybe talk about a little Breeders' Cup after it, or maybe we'll just not worry about the rest of the Breeders' Cup races. We'll figure it out.
Let's talk about Chad Brown real quick. He lost 2 photo finishes, both at a price of double digits, and scratched out Domestic Spending and Jack Christopher.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about racing luck.
For a quote-unquote down year, pretty good Breeders' Cup showing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go Remington Race 5. We've got 6.5 furlongs, 3 minutes till post. We got a 2-5 favorite. Oh, I hate swallowing that kind of chalk in flat out winner. We'll see if the horse actually goes off at 2-5. I sorted it by pace, Mike, and it looks like no one really has a standout advantage. We've got a 54, 54, 52. So it looks like any one of these horses, the 1, 2, and the 3 from the inside could break to the lead. Looks like the 4 is going to sit kind of an ideal trip here for David Cabrera. The 4 was my top pick in the race. Remember me, Tony. What did you see here?
So just real quick before we jump into everything else, I'll comment on the double. So the pick 3 will pays. The pick 3 to the 2 horse is paying $6.35. The pick 3 to the 4 horse is paying $9.85. The third choice in the pick 3s is going to be the 8 horse, $39.40. So that means that the 4 horse and the 2 horse are going to go off much closer in odds than what you're currently seeing. So the 2 should float up, the 4 should float down a little bit. I disagree with the pace numbers. I think the 3 horse is making the lead here. I'm not sure that the 3 horse can hold, but I think the 3 horse is going to make the lead. The 2 horses coming out of a 7 furlong race, mile races before that, and showing some speed there. The 3 horse has been coming out of 5.5 furlong races with 21-2, 22-1 paces, and within a length or 2 of the lead. So I think, here where we're going 6.5 furlongs, I'd expect the 3 horse to be on the lead. I think the 4 horse is going to sit a really nice trip. I think the 7 or the 8 horse is a little bit interesting as well here. The 8's going to come from off the pace, and that's the big question mark here is, are we going to be able to come from way back to be able to get the job done? So claim 2 back for Scott Young. One last time out going 6.5 furlongs. That was the first try at the distance. Horse is improving. It's kind of why I like it here. It's a 3-year-old that kind of keeps taking steps forward. A little concerned the last time was win over the wet track, and that may have helped elevate it. I didn't really like this race. I would sprinkle a little bit on the 8 just because of the price. But I think that the 3 at a price could get into the try, and then you kind of pick out where you want to do. I don't think 2-3-4 would be bad. I wouldn't talk you off 2-3-8, 2-4, or 3-4-8. I think you got to figure out how to get either the 8 or the 3 into the try to make some money here.
Yeah, absolutely. And to Mike's point about the will pays, we're already seeing the 2 float up and the 4 float down. Looks like they're going to be very closely separated when it comes down to post time. The 3 you're getting a nice price on. You're getting 11-1 off of a 5-1 morning line. EE has it at 7-1. So EE would say you're going to get some nice value on this 3 horse if you think it can make the lead. And really with these pace numbers, when I see a 54, 54, and a 52, any one of those horses might be able to get the lead, and 67% of the time it's hitting first or second at first call. And so that's what we're going with here. I'm sitting on the 4 here. I think he's going to set the perfect trip. And so we'll see what happens. Excuse me here.
Interesting way from Dennis here to try and attack the race. Just flipping the 2 and the 4 over the 3, 7, 8. I mean, I think those are probably your logical horses. The goal is just how can you try and get some type of price sprinkled in here to make some money. Nick is singling the 2 here to kick off the pick 3. I didn't look at the last couple of races. We'll try and do that with Remington especially. You can get some nice pick 3s and pick 4s. So moving forward, if we're sticking at Remington, we'll try and do that. I can't wait till January. We are only like 6 weeks away from doing Sam Houston with this, which I am so excited for. If you know me, it's one of my favorite tracks. Love the 12% takeout. Love the big fields. You can get some prices there. You just got to fade some Asmussen horses.
Absolutely. And he has so many runners there. I mean, it's just like you think he runs a lot at the major tracks. He runs even more at like Sam Houston and Lone Star and, Remington. And so his operation is absolutely incredible. I mean, he must just have a huge team, trusted partners, and they're constantly getting horses in the gate.
That to me is the most impressive thing he does is the number of strings he has. You have him in $5,000 maiden claimers all the way up to Breeders' Cup races. And the amount of people that you have to work through to be able to have all those horses is just incredible.
Wow. Okay. Looks like the 4 is going to go out and try to take the lead here. The 3's moving up 2 on the inside. It's like the 3 is going to eventually get the lead from the 4, and the 4 is going to sit a nice trip in behind the 3 here. The 2 really didn't break.
Well, the 2 is one of those horses where it's coming out of races where they're just longer races. And so the 2 should kick better at late. And it's sitting a nice spot there if you are expecting that type of kick. So it'll be interesting to see what the 2 can have. The other 3 up front are the other 3 horses. So if we can keep this 1 horse out of here, it'd be nice.
Yeah. I hate it. My 4 horses in between 2 horses, they might feel a little claustrophobic when you got somebody to your outside and your inside. So hopefully the 4 can sit comfortable here.
Man,
looks like the long shot horse is moving pretty easily. The jockey just looked back on the 8. The 4's all out. Looks like the 2's got a lot of work to do here. This 8 might be gone.
I think the 8 might be gone. You're getting 7-1 on that 8.
Remember, Tony now chasing in second with a furlong to go. Here comes flat out coming on.
Oh, I should have bet that. Should have bet that win bet.
Oh man, yeah, 7-1. Can you believe that? That was the long shot play, and looks like the 2's going to get up for second, the 3rd for third. So wow, toss the 2 favorites and go to the long shot play. There it is. That would have been a nice multi-race. Looks like Dr. Tang was rooting for the 8 there.
Can you see it? Can you see the cold try there that we didn't bet?
Oh man, solid win bet. He'll take it. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. All right, we can go for a few more Breeders' Cup races real quick before we sign off with you guys. We just want to touch briefly on all of them. I think we were just on the filly and mare turf. We got to talk quickly about the sprint. Jackie's Warrior was a horse that I was planning on pressing until I saw the price. I wanted even money or higher on Jackie. I didn't get it. 1-2 was a terrible price. Aloha West was a clear closer in the race. did you have anything here for the BCBC? I had an exacta Jackie's Warrior over Aloha West, but that didn't hit.
I played the 9-1-2 try. So if Aloha West doesn't do anything and the 2's there, it's a great hit for me. But I had the 9-1-2 in my pick 4 or pick 5s, pick 4s, all that jazz. So this was a frustrating one because this is the first of 3 races where I felt a little upset. I thought the 9 was home, and man, Aloha West just absolutely flies down the lane. And I was alive in the pick 6, I was alive in the pick 5, and then this happened.
I was glad of the sequence of the races that this race was after Life is Good, because I can't say that I wouldn't have shoved a kind of an all-in play or a huge play on Jackie's Warrior if this race would have been before Life is Good. So for that, I'm thankful that I only played the minimum on this one.
Yep.
Let's go to the mile and Space Blues. My goodness. Charlie Appleby had another horse scratch in this race. It was Master of the Seas, and it was the one post. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Not 2 days in a row. And we had huge plays around Space Blues, and the price went off at 2-1, which after the run was great value. Another win, chalk it up for Charlie Appleby and William Buick. I got to give some shout out, some credit to the bull, man. He ran 4th. That's a victory for him. In his swan song, his last race ever, the bull just ran fantastic. And at the top of the stretch, if he looked like he was in a really good spot. And I was just so happy that now I don't have to ever bet the bull again.
Yeah, I'm happy you don't have to bet the bull again either. This was a huge race from Smooth Like Straight, too. We talked about how you didn't want to be on the lead. Smooth Like Straight was on the lead the entire time around 2 turns here on the mile. Just got caught by Space Blues late. I had a monster Space Blues Mother Earth exacta that never really happened. Wasn't even close. Mother Earth was last around the final turn, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to really work too much.
Uh-oh. Looks like you owe a little bit of dinner because of that race.
I lost a stupid bet on Smooth Like Straight with a buddy of mine, so I owe an NHC dinner in Vegas.
There you have it. That was a nice victory for Space Blues. Now let's go on to the distaff. This was just a shit show. I mean, this pace collapse. You had Private Mission going up front with Petrushka. She Dares the Devil. I believe Horologist was Horologist in that pace duel as well, or up there near it. I know Horologist had a lot of pace, and so this just absolutely screamed pace collapse. I thought that Dunbar Road had it, and then Murphy comes flying on the other Japanese horse, the 10 here, Marshall Rain. I didn't have this 10 horse. I wouldn't have had the 10 unless I would have gotten to the all button, which I didn't. And so I don't think a lot of people in the contest probably did very well in this race.
No, I'm sure the 10 wasn't bet very often. This was one of the most frustrating races for me. I was against Latruska since 2 months ago, probably. I've been talking about it for a while. And I played 4 of the 5 closers. The 10 was a closer I didn't play in my multi-race tickets.
Oh, man.
So I thought Braille Flag was going to win top of the stretch. I thought Malathat was going to win middle of the turn. I thought that Dunbar Road was going to win at the 16th pole, and none of them could get by this 10 horse. It just kind of kept going.
Yeah, in the BCBC, I needed Malathat heavy because I had a double going into her and then a double starting with her into the next race. And so, I just wish that she would have been in the middle part of the track. If we look at all the winners on the dirt from the weekend, nobody was on the rail. Name one horse that won on the rail on the dirt, at least in the top of the stretch or the finish. You wanted to be in the 3-path or out. And Malathat, unfortunately, did not get that ride from Johnny V, but I never get that ride from Johnny V. It's a nemesis right now. He's a very nice guy, but I can't win with him. All right, let's go to the turf. And we had Yabir win, a $19 winner over a horse that Mike liked a lot, Broom. You were very high on this horse. 20-1 morning line. Look at this thing. You get Irad Ortiz off Frankie Dettori. I believe they switched jockeys. What was that? The morning of or the day before? I mean, it was a pretty late switch once they got the scratches in that Brioche Ballet was going to run and Dettori was going to ride him. Man, Broom ran a great race.
Yeah, this was frustrating. I thought Broom was gone again, and again he just gets caught by Yabir. But yeah, this was one of those where Yabir ran out of his skin. A great job by Charles Appleby to get this done, and to now it was just kind of tough there to not be able to make the lead. Real quick, the payouts there from Remington for anyone who has it. The try pays $17.30 for 50 cents, and the super with the 4 horses we talked about pays $50.24 for 50 or 10 cents there.
Oh, right. There you have it. I was all in on Tarnawa. We played a huge double in the Knicks Go, which was our strongest opinion of the weekend, especially after the scratch of domestic spending. I was going to play domestic spending into Knicks Go for a smaller double with a larger double weighted Tarnawa into Knicks Go. That was kind of the goal, is to split it up a little bit. But after that scratch, I was trying to find a horse, and I would have had to have gone 5 or 6 deep probably to get to Yabir. I would have gone, Walton Street. I would have gone Broome. I would have gone Tiona. And so there were a lot of other options in there. I really, visually, Yabir didn't impress me last time out, but I missed something on that horse. And so, I don't really feel bad that I didn't have it. I was just more sad to see Tarnawa not fire. If she would have lost in a photo, finished second again, she did not bring her A game. And you know what? Looking back, she ran on August 5th. She ran on September 11th. She ran on October 3rd. Maybe this was just a little too much too soon for her, especially shipping back over to the United States.
Yeah, I would have been nice to see her run better. I think the post really hurt her too. I mean, she was constantly between horses on all 3 turns, just not a trip that made it easy to kick, but it would have been nice to see her actually kick, like to really get it going. And yeah, the jockey musical chair is a little frustrating. But again, it's just like Charlie Appleby, man. At some point, you just got to blindly add him to your tickets. Because I agree with you. I didn't think Yabir was that impressive over at Belmont, but this horse clearly took a big time step forward and was able to get it done. And I'm glad we're not gonna have to talk about this late pick 5 again. I've done it too many times.
No, we won't. And
every time we do it.
Yeah, this race ended the BCBC for me. So then it was back into our own personal bets for the Classic, which me and Mike both had strong opinions here. We were all over Knicks Go. I mean, you had to look at it from a race tactic standpoint more than anything. Was Bob Baffert going to just absolutely concede the race to Brad Cox? If he would have sent Medina Spirit, there's a few scenarios that could have played out here. If Medina Spirit was fast enough, which I don't think he was, to press Knicks Go, you probably had Essential Quality sitting a nice trip to pounce on the top of the turn. If Medina Spirit sits, Knicks Go's gone. So take your pick. Do you want to run second, Bob, in a $6 million race? The answer was yes. Screwed up my exacta, my trifecta, because I tossed Medina Spirit off the ticket. I wish Medina would have went with Knicks Go. I wanted to see Medina Spirit burn his wheels and finish up the track. I wanted this to come in 5-4-3 cold, but it didn't. And so here I am, still happy Knicks Go won, and I hope to see him in the Pegasus.
That's the word on the street. We're going to get Life is Good Knicks Go in the Pegasus, which I was hoping for in the Breeders' Cup Classic here. Obviously, they went for a little softer spot there with Life is Good. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this, like we were driving home and we were home drinking after the race, and the whole time I'm just randomly saying, "Hey, you remember that time we got 3-1 on Knicks Go?" Because like, how is that possible? How do we get 3-1 on Knicks Go? And how did the Carniche Knicks Go 2-day double pay $12? I mean, how did this happen? But look, just watch the Santa Anita Derby. Watch Rock Your World and Medina Spirit. This is what happens when Medina Spirit is outside a horse that's faster than him. Just doesn't go with him because he is kind of one-paced. It's a really fast pace, but it's kind of one-paced in that sense. If he's inside speed, he's a little more dangerous. This draw made a big difference. I think that if Medina Spirit sits on the rail, you kind of see a similar outcome to what you saw with Private Mission and Latrusca, where Private Mission Medina Spirit would have to send. In this case, sitting in the 8 post, it got a legit shot at getting second and was moving better than Essential Quality or Hot Rod Charlie coming down the lane there. He was the only one making up any ground on Knicks Go.
He rebroke. And you've had the read on Medina Spirit probably better than anyone that's in the public handicapping or podcast realm, because you had Medina Spirit in the Derby. You gave out a $20 superfecta ticket that hit for $9 or $10 at the Derby.
Yeah, $24. It paid $9,700 back.
Yeah. It's like you're reading the psychic ball for Bob Baffert's horses. It's like you're inside Bob's head right now. You're living in Bob Baffert's head rent free, Mike.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm probably not the only one there right now. Yeah, this was a good race, man. I was able to. I had the triple. I had Knicks Go. This was a fun race. I had 2.5 a couple times. This was a fun race. It was a good way to close out the weekend. It made it a lot less frustrating that. If we could have just had 40K in the BCBC, this would have been over. Because this was one of those spots where I was more than willing to shove. And you mentioned saving it for later. There was a $2 million bet to win on Essential Quality, $1.2 million bet on both Knicks Go and Hot Rod Charlie. Our bets don't even affect it a little bit. We're talking like maybe you go from 840 to 830, right? It's not like you're moving this thing even a little tick.
Yeah, we shoved on the double Tarnawa into Knicks Go on this with a hefty balance. I kept on updating the will pays. It actually went up $1. It was paying 10. Now it was paying 11 or 12. I'm like, we just shoved and the odds went up. So I was like, what is going on here? It just betting the big days is so worth it. The extra value you get on any other Saturday that's, Knicks go running in the Cornhusker or Knicks go running in the Pegasus or the Whitney or whatever. You're not getting 3-1. And it actually paid $8.40, higher than 3-1. It's like $3.30. I mean, that's just insanity. You're never going to get it again. So if you missed it, shame on you. If you had it, congratulations. You'll never get that again until the next Knicks Go comes along. And hopefully you'll listen to us when we give it out. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining us for the show tonight. Had a lot of fun. Good recapping the Breeders' Cup, going over Remington and Charlestown. This is kind of get back into our normal Thursday night routine. And so like the show, please give it a like, give it a retweet. We appreciate all the support in the comments that you guys are always giving us good questions. Send us DMs on Twitter about things you guys might want to talk about on a Thursday night, and we can certainly go over it during this 9 o'clock hour. Mike, anything from you before we sign off?
No, I'm excited. The goal is to be every Thursday night here, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. We'll be covering whatever Thursday races. I assume we will miss Thanksgiving. But other than that, should be every Thursday that we'll be rocking this out. So make sure you come back and join us next week. Check out racingdudes.com as well. I got free picks every track, every day, every race. That's about it for me. Hopefully we'll see everybody back next Thursday.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Whether you're playing the good chalk or fading the bad chalk, we will see you next week.